Hey, is that on? I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 3 o'clock, and I'd like for everyone to stop talking. Council Member Hosea, 3 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order, and as we always do, we'll start our meeting with an invocation. Pastor John Duncan is here, so please join us.
Let's pray. Lord, today we thank you for this day. We thank you for your guidance and leadership, your grace and mercy and strength. And Lord, each and every day we need that. We thank you, Lord, for our community, for a great place to live. We thank you, Lord, for the rain that's replenished the earth. And we give thanks, Lord, that you've given us this rain. Father, in a room this size, everybody here probably has a burden, a concern, a need each and every life. And so, Lord, we pray that you would hear our prayers for those needs, and knowing, Lord, that we can cast our cares on you because you care for us. Lord, now bless this meeting, bless our council, bless our city, bless our nation and our world. We pray for peace in Ukraine, and we pray for peace in the Middle East and Jerusalem, and we pray for peace in our hearts. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Before we go, and this room is full, I apologize, but hopefully within year and a half, we'll have a larger room and we can accommodate everybody who wants to join us. We're delighted to have everyone here. And I just wanted to just tell the public that this is our second meeting today. The council was in a 2-hour budget meeting this morning, council and staff. And so I just want to thank the staff for their hard work. And I also want to thank these 5 volunteers on both sides of me for their hard work and dedication. This is an important job, and it's a volunteer job. And I just know everybody joins me in thanking these folks for their hard work. And at the same time, I'd like to congratulate Councilmember Morgan and Elaine, the Mayor Pro Tem, for their pending reelection. Councilmember King has decided he is not going to run for reelection, but we have a wonderful candidate, Buck Weatherby, who signed up to run. And since there were 3 candidates, we won't hold an election, and these will be our council members. And I could not be more delighted. It's going to continue to be a very strong council. So thanks to Buck, he's at a wedding in Santa Fe and he couldn't be with us, and to Dwight for his former service and for your willingness to continue. So with that, most important thing that keeps the city going is the staff. And so, Jeff, we've got some recognitions and introductions.
Yes, ma'am. I think the first one, we have some new plant operators that have been added to our staff. Dakota Sizemore, where are you at? There he is, Dakota. Where'd you come from, Dakota?
Originally out of Arkansas.
Arkansas? Okay, good.
Kansas.
Not Dakota.
Okay. And then, okay, Dakota, Arkansas. Served 7 years in the Air Force, father of 3 kids, and enjoys outdoor sports and the Razorbacks, of course.
Well, that's a lot of people couldn't get into anyhow.
Yeah. And then Jonathan Pena. Jonathan Pena, come on up front. There you go. Jonathan, born in Austin, Texas, raised in Marble Falls. Attended Marble Falls High School from kindergarten to 12th grade. One of the lifers. That's great. My kids are too. Graduated in 2020. Shortly after graduating, Jonathan enrolled in Central Texas College and is currently working towards his criminal justice degree. Very admirable. Thank you. All right. Full time. Oh, roll tide. I say. Okay, and then there is one other I'd like to introduce. Y'all probably saw him in the paper, and that's Roy Jambert. He is our new development services. Where you at, Roy?
There's Roy.
There he is, Roy.
All right.
Roy comes to us from Lago Vista. 7 years, I think the past 7 years worked there, worked in the private sector as an architect, and has many, many years of both public and private development. And so he is a great addition to us. And in the couple of weeks that he's been here, he's proven to me that he knows what he's talking about. And so I can sit down and be quiet and let him do all the talking when it comes to development. Very much appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much. Welcome to all of us.
All right. Now I think, Chief, you got a 10-year?
Goodbye.
Mayor, Council, I'd like for you to join me in thanking Robert Fox for his 10 years of service to the city. Communication Officer Robert Fox is celebrating 10 years of dedicated service to the city of Horseshoe Bay. Robert joined us in August of 2014, coming from the Burnett County Sheriff's Office. He holds a master's telecommunication license with Texas Commission on Law Enforcement and has been a communications officer for over 22 years. Robert handles the information technology for the department and is one of the department's drone pilots, possessing an FAA Part 107 drone license. Robert and his wife, Lori, live outside of Burnett. Lori also has roots in law enforcement, having just retired from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Wonderful. For our good people to stay with us for 10 years, we must be doing something right. And we certainly do appreciate your loyalty, Robert. Okay. Thank you.
And our second one is Mike Guthrie.
Mike Guthrie, and he is not here yet. I believe he's on his way. He's celebrating 5 years of service with the city. Mike is our animal control officer. He was hired as a part-time animal control officer in April of 2019. Mike was a jailer at Blanco County before joining us. In addition to his duties of animal control, he also maintains our department fleet of vehicles, our boat, and also maintains our generator at the police department. And he also provides opinions and suggestions whenever possible. Mike has made a significant impact.
He's walking up. Yeah.
We just hope he hadn't picked up a skunk.
Yeah. He was also recognized as the Hill Country 100 Club Officer of the Year in 2022.
You can feel free. Isn't that him walking up the sidewalk? You feel free to say that again, Jason, so that we can hear these wonderful things you said about it.
Thanks, Mike. Glad you could make it. It's hard to get good help.
You know, I don't know about the rest of you, but I certainly appreciate the work that the animal control guys do. I mean, you go, you go to Bayside, and by the time you turn around and come home, the whatever was on the road is gone. And this doesn't just happen. This is hard work and dedication from people like Mike. So thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
And Chief
Glad you could make it, Mike.
Chief Fowler, did we lose our everybody that was supposed to be here? Okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor Council. I'm Doug Fowler, Fire Chief. Today, we're going to reconstitute an event that is a tradition in the fire service, and it has to do with the badge pinning and oath of office for new members. We've got a few people we need to catch up on, but normally this
I want to interrupt you. Notice how quickly that happened. Sirens are out. Go ahead.
So normally this would be a once-a-year event, but we'll have 3 in a row as we catch people on duty and get caught up in this. And so no further ado, I'm going to bring up firefighter Trevor Willauer. First, he's going to take the oath of office, and then we're going to do the badge pinning. Raise your right hand. I, Trevor Willauer, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Texas, and obey all laws thereof. Furthermore, I am qualified and certified as a firefighter per the standards of the Texas Commission on Fire Protection, able to perform the duties and responsibilities entrusted to me, and that I will faithfully discharge these duties of the city whose service I'm about to enter. Congratulations. Who's going to do badge pin? Okay.
Can you imagine how good he was with a corsage someday? There you go. Congratulations, Trevor. Looks great. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Jake.
Have we got the public comment? Did you give it? Oh, okay. Looks like there are 3 people signed up for public comment, and they're all items that are on the agenda. So we'll call on you when we get to that agenda item for your public comments. And if I forget, somebody remind me. Okay, so now we move on to public hearings. The first one is a public hearing on the adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget for the city of Horseshoe Bay, Texas. And I'll open the public hearing at 3:12, and Molly Jester will start us out.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Molly Jester, the Finance Director. The Local Government Code 102.006A states that the governing body of a municipality shall hold a public hearing on the proposed budget. Code 102.006B states that the hearing shall occur after the 15th day after the proposed budget is filed with the municipal clerk, but before the date the tax levy is made. Notice of the public hearing has been made in the newspaper. It's also been placed on our website for inspection. Should citizens prefer, copies are available at City Hall as well. If citizens wish to comment on the budget, the hearing provides that opportunity.
Okay. Do any of the council members have any questions or comments at this time? Since we spent 2 hours on it this morning, I think all of their questions have been answered. We do, however, have Mr. Bill Gaylord has asked to speak. So, Bill.
Thank you, Your Honor. About this time, 19 years ago, the POA, one you've read about so much in the paper lately, led by Jim Babcock, who was one of our board members, embarked on a project in Horseshoe Bay to form a city. At that time, we were ruled by POAs and a MUD. I'm sure everybody knows what a MUD is. It's a municipal utility district, if you didn't know. But anyway, over the course of a year, the study was made as, well, how do you form a city legally? And one of the things that had to happen is it had to go out for a public vote. So in early 2005, the POA organized a public vote here in Horseshoe Bay. All the citizens got a chance to vote. We had several hearings. before the vote where people were able to ask questions, make comments, concerns, etc. There really was only one concern, and that was taxes. People said, is it going to be like other government, like our federal government? Once the government is formed, taxes will go up, taxes will go up. But under Jim's leadership and the treasurer, who at that time happened to be me, we laid out a plan of numbers that melded the MUD and the POA and creation of a city with the various responsibilities, showing that the numbers would not go up, that the total cost for Horseshoe Bay would actually go down some with the unified government entity. So a promise was made, and if you look at the logo, it says 2005. That's about 20 years from next year. So you'll get a chance on your 20-year mark to see how you're measured. But the promise was made, taxes would not go up, and I hope you're able to keep that promise for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. And I will just say that I may have this wrong, but I believe that the tax rate at that time was around 56 cents per hundred. I may be wrong, but right now the tax rate that we're proposing is the same as last year, which is just under 27 cents. So in terms of maintaining the tax rate, I think that the city has done a remarkable job. And when you look at our city compared to other cities, the size of our staff for comparable cities, a fewer number of people are doing a lot of work. So that is still certainly the focus of this mayor. And based on the conversations that we had this morning, I can tell you it is of the staff and of the council. So that's certainly something that we we want to honor, and we'll do everything in our power to continue to.
You're right, Your Honor. The initial rate was that you mentioned. It was what I call a settling in rate. We had to put together the MUD and the POA. We had to even work with the maintenance fund to transfer some of the money that was being spent by the POA for roads over to the city. That took a while to happen. But after the settling in had taken place in the city, under Bob Lambert's leadership and Steve Jordan and a few others, the tax rate kind of settled in at 25, 26 cents. And I think it's hovered there, thank goodness, ever since.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from the public? This is open public hearing. Anyone can speak. Okay, with no other comments, then I will close the public hearing at 3:17. No action is needed on this item at this time. So we will move on to the next one, which
Wait a minute.
There's a motion.
Yeah, there is. I have one other thing to read.
I need a motion. Oh, I need a motion to,
Oh, but I have one other code to read. Local Government Code 102.007A states, at the conclusion of the public hearing, the governing body shall take action on the proposed budget. As changes are usually needed before finalizing the budget for adoption, this action is generally accepted to be setting a date and time for the approval of the budget. Staff recommends that the next City Council meeting on September 17th, 2024, would be the time to approve the budget.
okay, so I'll accept a motion to table the adoption of the budget.
Mayor, can I make a motion?
Sure.
I move to table the adoption of the proposed budget until the next city council meeting set for September 17th, 2024.
So motion by Councilmember King. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Morgan. All in favor say, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So it'll be tabled until the September meeting. And the next public hearing is related to the Silver Rock Phase 1 final plat, a final plat of 12 lots out of the Silver Rock Phase preliminary plat, locally known as 2435 Highway 71 East in Zone 3, Horseshoe Bay West in the city of Horseshoe Bay. And is the development of the Horseshoe Bay Resort LLC and Modern Homestead LLC applicant. The public hearing will open at 3:19, and Sandra Nash is going to start this for us.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. This is the third time this plat has been on your agenda, and I'm happy to report that we are finally ready for action this time. On August of 2023, a year ago, City Council approved the phased preliminary plat for Silver Rock. It consisted of 161 acres and it was 19 lots. Since then, they have now done phase one, and this is the final plat for phase one. It's approximately 87 acres of the 161, and it is 12 of the single family lots. TxDOT has approved their access permits. LCRA has approved this. The applicants have entered into a dedication agreement with TxDOT for improvements to Highway 71. Public notice requirements have been satisfied. At the meeting on April 23rd of earlier this year in 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission heard this at a public hearing and recommended that City Council approve the final plat. The plat is in conformance with the phase preliminary plat, which is one of the requirements of our final plat. There are no deviations. The applicant is requesting credit for impact fees, and I'm going to let Rick address that.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, residents. So this one, and I'm on page 77 of the packet, is the staff report. And then if you go to the next page, 78, there is a letter from the Horseshoe Bay Resort Vice Chairman Ron Mitchell. He is in attendance if you have questions. What they're requesting is allowed in the ordinance, but it does go to council. They're requesting a credit on the impact fees. So typically for a plat, if they weren't requesting that, we would collect those impact fees prior to this meeting. But since they had a request, we're pending action. So you've got on page 78, you've got the request. Page 79 and 80, there are some huge spreadsheets that kind of explain what they're asking. But essentially what it is they're putting in a 12-inch water line, which we've talked about for the last year or so, that'll go from Bay West Boulevard, will come all the way down and then service the Silver Rock community. Based on their internal engineering projections, an 8-inch would have sufficed. However, part of the city master plan is that there be a 12-inch water line there to better loop the West water system. Again, something we've talked about for the last year or so. And then they're also, so that's one phase, and they're also proposing to upsize the wastewater line going through there. Their calculations say they would need a 6-inch. They've agreed to voluntarily upsize that to a 12-inch so that we can have more capacity in the future if the 2147 corridor, which are lots that are already platted and within the city, if they develop out, it'll give us more capacity to service them without having to do a capital project. So based on those two things, and if y'all have questions, go ahead. I'm going to give a kind of a Cliff Notes version, but based on those two projects, they're requesting a credit of $190,900 for the water line, and then $98,875 on the sewer line for a total of $289,775. Do y'all have any questions on that, or do y'all want?
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Sure. Like,
Those lines are in now and functional?
No, sir. No. So pending approval of this plat, that would be the first thing is infrastructure and site development. They'd put them in so they could service that.
And so why are we refunding the fees? They're going to be using those lines.
We haven't actually refunded them yet. So they're requesting now. They'll have to pay you depending on y'all's action. If y'all vote and approve this plat today, then there would be fees due. So we by ordinance, they pay fees at plat. So they're requesting a credit. So it would reduce that amount by this much.
And again, why?
Essentially because they're upsizing it. Their development wouldn't require it. We're asking them to do it on the water line, and they're voluntarily doing it on the wastewater, so it would benefit the city. So they're asking for a credit based on their upsizing, so obviously y'all are city council. You can say yes, no, or something in between, which is one of the reasons why we didn't have them pay LUEs up front, is in case y'all come back with a different amount. Our ordinance, when we had adopted the impact fee, it does put the decision in y'all's hands.
can you expand a little bit on what the benefit to the city is? Like, would we be building a line at some point if this development weren't happening? Would we be building a 12 or an 8-inch line?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, potentially. So a couple things we would be building one. So say if the corridor behind Silver Rock on the other side of Golden Nugget, if it develops out, it will at some point require an upsized water line.
So this home's on 2831.
Yes, ma'am. And then also 2147.
And would that cost us more than $239,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's about $165 a linear foot for a 12-inch water line. So, it depends on how many footage and how much footage and all that. So
Council members, other questions?
How's the water getting to the development? You said from Bay West?
yes, sir. I said Bay West. It's actually a little further up at Bay Country. I apologize. Ron didn't correct me, but that's okay. Yeah, they extended it from Bay West to Bay Country when they put in the Brixton. So we'll pick it up.
Now
From that point forward.
Yeah, that's my fault.
It comes from the west tower.
Yes, sir. Yep.
But
So-
it actually fed from two different directions.
It-
So the west towers, we finally got it where it could keep up, and now you're going to start sucking it out again.
Well, not me specifically.
Yes, that's your area.
How big's the line in the Bay Country? Is it 12 inch?
It's 12 inch up to Bay Country. Internally in Bay Country is an 8 inch.
Okay, so you'll connect to where it is 12 inch.
Yes, sir.
With that.
Yeah. So it'll, and we've modeled it too. And that's something that future I can bring the water model. It'll improve flow into Bay Country, into the parks, and then also it'll loop back through and back into Cat's Eye, which is a section we've identified before. Cat's Eye is kind of an anomaly in the West Water system. They get localized pressure changes sometimes, so this will help improve that too.
So, go ahead,
I
Frank.
was
Did you
just
have
going
another?
to say, so this credit that we're giving is more than offset by any expense we would have to if we didn't do this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought.
As part of this discussion, there's two representatives, Ron Mitchell and Rick Towner here from Silver Rock. Are either of you prepared to sort of give us a little bit of an update on the status of the project, what the timing is, where we're headed, the next step? You want to? You're dying to, aren't you? Okay, thank you, Ron Mitchell.
I would like to clarify too, Rick, if I'm right, that credit amount came from the city staff. It wasn't an amount we requested. And it was based on the engineering cost to put in those infrastructures. All right, a little update. We sent a purchase and sales agreement today to Falcon Senior Living Facilities, which is the group we've been discussing the new independent living facility with. They have committed to close on that track 13 for that facility before the end or the first of next year. And that is estimated right now with their preliminary workload. They've already done boring samples. They have engineering studies done. They have hired a marketing company. We'll be hosting 2 community events on September the 19th and 20th at the hotel. There will be invites going out to explain in more detail the whole concept of the independent living facility itself. The developer anticipates, based on their current plans and drawings, it'll be about a $95 to $98 million facility, which also helps keep our tax base in line as we do these developments. They are going to contract with Silver Point Senior Living, which is Sean Gorinsky, who's the gentleman some of y'all met in the last public meeting that was held. He is an expert and operates several of these independent living facilities. So Falcon is contracting with them to actually operate. Harbor will own it. We're in the process now of selling, and we should have our final sales and purchase agreement, our 100 acres that Horseshoe Bay Resort Development owns, to 71 Partners LLC, which consists of 2 individuals and Douglas Jaffe himself. There's a Horace Gutierrez and a Dave Clary. Dave is a resident of Horseshoe Bay. Mr. Gutierrez will be soon. He's from Florida. We're working out all the final details on that transfer. We are working also with Modern Homes on getting all of our finals done with TxDOT, LCRA, PEC, as far as all bonding requests and data that's going to be needed, as well as we're ready to prepare cashier's checks tomorrow for our part of the LUE impact fees if the council approves this credited discount amount. Mike Walsh, we're still dealing with on his track for his storage units, which have been discussed in past council meetings, and we hope to have a purchase and sales agreement with him within the next possibly 30 days max. Does that kind of summarize? I mean, the project's going forward. Again, we hope to have this independent living thing solidified by the end of the year or first of next year. That's about an 18 to 24 month construction project. And again, we have September the 19th and 20th, we'll have a public hearing to educate everyone on the facility itself and what it will include. It's going to be a first class. It's got all types of amenity infrastructures, from pickleball to restaurants to beauty salons to resort style swimming pools. There are 2 and 3 bedroom units, and they'll be made available to those seeking independent living type accommodations.
Wonderful. Council members, do you have any
And
questions?
Rick, do you
for
have
Mr.
anything
Mitchell?
to add on your? I don't want to speak for Rick, but I think you're still negotiating with Baylor Scott and White on a possible clinic site next to the independent living. And we're in negotiations with possibly some other developers to take down certain tracks for the commercial development along 71.
Mayor, I have a question.
Okay, Dwight?
I'm still having a little trouble with the word refund of something you haven't paid anything for yet.
It's a credit, as I understand, not
That
really a
makes sense to
refund.
me. A pre-construction credit, in other words, putting the money there so you can do it.
Correct.
Change of credit.
My question is, will the tech stop improvements be done before any construction? Are we going to?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Tech stop, will the entrances and the ingress and egress be done before actual construction starts?
Again, I don't know the timing of TxDOT. I do know the commitments there. We're donating the land for them to do the expansion of 71, the widening of it, and the turn lanes.
I know that. But
He's asking before construction.
before
sir.
construction. Okay. Okay.
And I'm assuming, just like we did for Tuscan, we'll have to get a temporary construction entrance permits from TxDOT.
Do you have any idea what the total cost of that, what we're talking about right here, would be?
It's on page 70,
Um,
79.
Rick?
I think Rick has that information. Well, I don't promise it, but you can sit down.
I have one more thing.
Don't run away.
Mayor, we have a letter from Ron here, but somebody used a whole pen signing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd like to.
Tentatively 300 LUEs, that's about 1.8 million plus or minus in impact fees. I think they're a little bit more than that. They may have been actually at 500. So that would be, it's about 6,200 per LUE. So you're looking at plus or minus 3 million at complete build out at today's rates. One thing we've talked to them, our ordinance always says rate at time of plat. So if they plat 5 years from now and the impact fees have gone up, whichever lots haven't paid impact fees yet would be subject to higher rate. So,
And this plat is for 12 lots.
yes, ma'am.
Which lots are they?
The ones on the board.
It's for the,
They're all-
If you look on the other, who's clicking it? Click it to the next slide, I think. Right there, you see the,
it's this
Gotta go.
lot.
yeah,
right?
you can see
I'm
on
gonna-
the other side of the creek, it's not platted, right? Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
lot 13. This is where the center is
Yeah.
that Ron Mitchell talked about. This is back here, some more independent living.
That's lot 12.
That's lot 12. This is some medical and retail along here. Office.
That's lots 14, 15, 16, 17.
And then over here is a potential, what we talked about, the Mike Walsh lot. That's for a potential
Oh, okay.
Storage.
storage facility. There's another retail lots here, and then there's another little retail lot right there.
Where's 71, Sandra? Is that-
71 is this, and so basically they're platting the frontage here.
That's what I was saying.
And Mayor, this letter that we have here, is something that I asked that they look at, and that is Lot 12, which is assisted living that's right behind or the
Thanks, Ron.
independent living, which is right behind the assisted living. And that is about 200 LUEs. And I asked that there be a time limit on this one, that they pay this by 2 years or upon the first house being or permit that they pull. And that's about 1.2 million
And so which lot does that,
in 2 years, Lot 12.
lot 12?
Yeah, it's the one
it,
that
okay.
has the majority of the independent living on there.
So this impact fee is just for lot 13, is that correct?
No, it's for everyone. Every other lot on there is 1 inch or bigger. On the only one that's got the residential, well, in this plat is the 12, and I think there's one other one over there.
Okay, just one more time.
Sure, go ahead, Ms.
To help the poor Aggie to understand this. You haven't put any money, you put a lot of money into your part, but any money into that particular part of the water lines. And we're doing this to start be able to you have money to start building that line. Is that what this is about?
No.
No, sir. No, so I'll answer for them. They'll develop the line regardless. The LUEs are for the on-site stuff, so they're asking for a credit back. The line, if you look, they have bid tabulations on the next page. Their total improvements are $3 or $4 million. So, but they have to be capitalized before that. This is kind of in addition to that. They pay you LUEs. You know, some of those fees cover transmission, pumping costs, treatment, raw water, all those things from the West plant.
So how much is the check that they're going to be writing us tomorrow? I think that's what Dwight's asking.
That's right.
If y'all approve it in this way, they would be paying tomorrow $404,101 from 71st Partners and an additional $157,104 from Modern Homestead. So plus or minus 560.
Okay.
And that'll be a cashier's check.
Yes.
You're saying it'll be good?
I'd like to hold it up to the light first.
Okay, so that would be as opposed to that 560,000 plus the $239,000 credit. So that we're not giving them money back. They're just reducing the amount they pay us because they're going to be using that $239,000. And it was a figure
Upside.
that our staff calculated to upsize the lines from what they need to what we asked them to do.
Yeah. No, this is a good question, Dwight.
Yeah. Any other questions from council members? Okay, now, Roy has given us a different motion than is in your packet. Do you all have any questions about this motion? I think what the original motion did not actually specifically include that we were approving the credit. And that's what this one does. Am I right?
It should, yeah.
It says single family lots, I believe. Sorry, Kerry.
The only change was the wording in parentheses.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, the 12 lots are not single family lots. They're all the lots. Got it. Okay. Yes, Jim.
And also, because we just got this yesterday, I think we need to add to be able to approve to sign the agreement by the city manager for the lot 12.
Okay, so I need someone to make a motion. There's a suggested motion right here before you, but Jeff is asking that we include in that motion that we also approve the letter dated August 22nd, 2024 from Ron Mitchell regarding the timeline for development on parcel 12.
Yeah, and to authorize the city manager to approve the agreement.
Okay. So would someone like to take that on?
Go ahead, Chuck.
I'll try it.
I want to see you pull that.
I'm kind of discouraged.
I move that we approve the final plat of phase 1 of Silver Rock. That's easy. Which is 12 lots, subject to the receipt of the required fiscal assurances, including approval of the refund of an impact fee credit in the amount of $289,775. And in addition to the letter of assurance dated August 22nd, to 2024 from Ron Lynn Mithsell. You misspelled your name, Ron. Mitchell, um, which deals with the development of Silver Rock.
Okay, and you did such a good job of making that motion. I'm going to adjourn the public hearing at 3:40, and then we need to make the motion now. We make the motion not in the public hearing. So you did such a good job of that. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do it again. Is that what you, yeah. Okay.
That would be great.
Motion to approve the final plat of phase 1 of Silver Rock, 12 lots, subject to the receipt of the required fiscal assurances, including approval of the refund of the impact fee credit in the amount of $281,775, in addition to the letter of assurance dated August 22nd, 2024, from Ron Mitchell, which deals with the development of Silver Rock, and authorize the city manager to sign.
Okay, motion has been made by Councilmember Jones. Is there a second? Second by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Yes, Rick.
If I may, Mayor, I want to recognize Sandra a little bit on this one specifically. This has been well over a year. We've been working on this, good partners and all that, but she has done a ton of work. This is kind of like her master class and how to put one of these together. So I embarrass her a little bit, but she has put a lot of work into that. So glad we got it to the finish.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That indeed, this has been a huge amount of work from lots and lots of people, and we really appreciate. I know the community is anxious to get this going, and it's from what Mr. Mitchell tells us, by the end of 2027, we may actually see something that people can begin to move into. So I think that would be welcome. Now we're going to have another public hearing on ordinance 2024-20, rezoning of 20.578 acres of the John H. Darlin Survey Number 4, locally known as 3300 block of Highway 71 East, from the A1 recreational to GUI government utility and institutional, amending the zoning map for Zone 3 Horseshoe Bay West and providing for finding of fact, repeal or severability, effective date, and proper notice and meeting. So we're going to open this public meeting at 3:42. And Sandra, what can you tell us about that?
The applicant is requesting to rezone the 20.578 acres. This map, our aerial photo, is a little bit not so hot, so I'm just going to move right to the zoning and show you where it is on the zoning map. So here's the Phoenix Center. This is 71. And this long road, that's the driveway into the Phoenix Center. This is Monarch Ridge. This is Summit Rock. Here's our airport. This little reverse kind of boot-shaped piece right here is where the church would like to go. It's estimated that the sanctuary would have, at their full build out of the sanctuary, approximately 500 seats. The church wasn't, and the church representative is here today. They weren't sure how many seats they would have in it initially. And a private school is not proposed for this location. So as we can see right now, it was annexed into the city and it was zoned, oops, I don't know what's going on. It was annexed into the city and it was zoned A1 recreation. Church would need a GUI for government utility institutional. This is what the zoning map would look like if this does take place and is zoned, just removing the A1 recreational. Now, I want to point out that it's hard on these PowerPoints to really look at the colors of our maps because we have so many different land uses. This gray for government utility is not the same as this gray. This gray is development reserve. That is something that when Summit Rock gets ready to build that, they'll come back in and zone and plat that. So that's a different gray than this. So I don't want you to think you've got a GUI coming in right here and you've got a big block of GUI right here. That's actually development reserve. These are existing single family that's just kind of wedged in here between Phoenix Center and the church.
Okay, now this is Austin Ridge Church.
This is Austin Ridge Church.
And we have a representative from Austin Ridge?
We do, and they've sent us a little bit of a site plan. I'd like to point out that this is all the further they are along in their site plan. There's a main sanctuary building with two smaller offices or Sunday school type buildings. I do want to point out that Initially, when we look at this concept plan, we can see that they are accommodating the image corridor overlay, which this plot would be subject to on this lot. They have set aside a generous buffer here, more than required by our ordinance. And they've put more than 50% of the parking behind the buildings, which is also a requirement. This is really the most requirements we can deal with at the image corridor when we're at this conceptual of a stage. But they have shown us that they can accommodate the image corridor in their site plan. TxDOT has waived the TIA. Nothing special to this site. They don't require, they actually don't waive it. They don't require TIAs for a church. If it goes to a school for some reason in the future, then that TIA is required. But for just a church, a TIA is not required for TxDOT.
Where would they put the school?
Pardon?
Where would they put the school?
Well, I'm going to let you, when you talk to the applicant, I'm going to let you ask questions. They initially said they don't have plans for a school, but that would be the only thing that we're aware of that would trigger a TIA. However, driveway permits are still going to be required from TxDOT. So they still have to go get TxDOT permits. Of course, they still have to, when they do site development, go through all of LCRA. They will need to final plat as well. This lot isn't platted yet. We're not aware of any opposition to this request. We've had adequate public notice as required by law. We've got a sign out on the property for people when they're driving by. At Planning and Zoning Commission, nobody came to speak in opposition to this project. And at their Planning and Zoning Commission, only 3 of our 5 P&Z members were there. So I wanted to be real clear when we say they voted unanimously to recommend council approve this, that was a vote of 3 members, not 5 members. And our applicant is here if you have any other questions for them or for us.
Okay, would you all like to speak?
Yes,
Uh,
I do.
Okay.
Will this have egress lines, because we're off the 7, will this have TxDOT require the same kind of lanes to slow down because we're still on a 70-mile-an-hour highway?
I don't know until it gets there, really. Honestly, it's to be determined.
But TxDOT is not requiring a traffic impact study, so it doesn't sound like they're going to be putting any requirements on you. Do you expect that they will?
We actually won't know till they actually apply for I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rick. We won't know till they apply for their driveway permits. They may ask for some lane striping or something, create the shoulder into a turn lane, those types of things. But
Okay.
we really won't know until they apply for the permits.
So it's really mainly one day a week, the traffic. So
And just to confirm, there are no plans for a private school other than maybe Mother's Day out or kindergarten or something like that?
there was nothing planned at this time.
Nothing, okay. Any other questions,
Will
council?
one of these be entrance and the other be exit, or are they both entrance and exits?
This is a concept right now, and it was required. So we had our architect draft this based on they have a campus in Dripping Springs also. So we took conceptually some of those components and put them here. Everybody likes it, but it's not the exact thing that we'll be doing. I mean, those entrance and exits are fine, but I don't know if that's in, out, or not.
And to be clear, right now, all we're doing is zoning.
All we're doing
There
is
will
zoning.
be, there will be plats, there'll be preliminary plats, there'll be final plats.
There will be
There's-
DRC site development and everything. The way my church works is when you're going to church, both driveways are entrances, and when you're leaving church, both driveways are exits.
Yeah.
So this one may function as similar to that as
So
well.
there's still a lot of information
There's
to be
still-
gathered because all we're
Yeah.
doing today is.
All we're doing is just strictly talking about land use. They would like to take this land from A1 recreation, which is really for this piece unusable. This piece really is not usable at A1. They were trying to get something usable.
Are there any further questions? Any?
I do.
Okay.
Do you have a name yet?
Well, it's Austin Ridge. It's part of a larger church. They're centered in Bee Cave. My family actually went there for almost 5 years now. And now we're at Highland Lakes campus, which is what this will be. And we're at the middle school. My family helps set up and take down every Sunday. So we've been a part of the church, but it's a wonderful group of people. They have one of the top pastors around, and it's like a satellite campus. And in talking to Steve Kwong, who's here to represent Austin Ridge,
Austin Ridge
we're
is-
going to meet after this because we really want to start talking about the phase 1, which will be a small version of this. I think their campus in Dripping Springs is being done. It's being worked on right now, and there's a lot of funds going that way. So in essence, I think this is going to be a starter program for Highland Lakes, which we already have hundreds of people in on Sundays at the middle school. So it's,
So you're meeting at Marble Falls currently? Oh,
correct.
okay, I wasn't aware of that.
For the last couple of months.
Good. Any other questions, council? Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Okay, being no further comment, we'll close the public hearing at 3:50. And there is a suggested a motion on page 85.
I move to approve ordinance 2024-20 as presented by staff.
There's been a motion from Councilmember Morgan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Jones. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and the ordinance is passed. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to business. This was on the consent agenda, but I asked for it to be taken off because I think I'm just really excited about this. Ordinance 2024-21 declaring unopposed candidates for the November 5th general election to be elected to office, canceling the November 5th general election. As I said earlier, Councilmember King is moving on to greener pastures.
Can I make this motion?
Yes, you certainly can. And Councilmember Morgan and Waddell are going to stay with us, and we're going to be joined by Buck Weatherby, who a lot of you probably know, and he's going to be a wonderful addition to the council. So, and it's going to save us $5,000, right, Carrie? So I'm really pleased about that. It's a great it's a huge commitment for people to do this, and I'm just really appreciative of the willingness of these people to serve. So I would be happy to entertain a motion, Councilmember.
I move to approve ordinance 2024-21 as presented by staff.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Morgan. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Now, Jeff, gift of the Mausoleum Access Road, additional property for future structures. I'm going to have Jeff give us his report. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
And then we do have Mayor Steve Jordan and Jim Jordan, no relation, to talk about that. And so I want to get Jeff to speak, then we'll get them to speak, and then after that, you guys can answer your questions if that's okay. So go ahead,
Yes,
Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor. About 2 months ago, we had a discussion with Mr. Jordan, or the Jordans, and the Horseshoe Bay HSB POA about some expansion of the mausoleum property. The city owns property around that area. In fact, the mausoleum owns this small piece right here. It's not been kept to the best of standards, and there was some complaints about that. So this group had kind of came in and started looking at the possibility of what it would need to expand it because they're about out of niches, and looking at how they could better serve our community. I believe they created a organization, and Mr. Mayor Jordan will talk a little bit about that. But they approached me about expanding some capacity of the land around it. Originally, it was kind of in this area and here, and now it's kind of expanded a little bit further to include, and they can talk a little bit about the expansion desires that they have in that property. I went out and looked at the property, walked it off, kind of figured it's about 8 acres, and then this image kind of shows that. I think I have another one that kind of shows it laid across kind of the original aerial photograph, kind of where it is. But ultimately, it's 6 acres, and they requested the city maybe donate that to the Mausoleum Association so they can continue with their expansion. They have asked that the city work to get a survey. I did recently find out as of about an hour ago what the cost of that survey is going to be, and it is $16,500. That seems high to me, but that's the number I have at this point in time. So I just kind of wrote a report on how much that cost for that survey. We would be giving about a total of 7.5 to 8 acres of property around there based on the drawings there. So that's kind of where we are on this.
Would you go to the next
Perfect.
picture, Jeff?
Yes.
So is the teal part the current mausoleum?
Yes.
That's what's there. So all of that is
That's a trail that goes to it, and there's a little service
is
road
for
that goes down
expansion.
to
And
it. Yeah,
part of that, where's the parking lot?
right here.
Okay. Yeah, so that's quite a bit of property to serve.
Yeah, it's plenty expansion. Ms. Hurd donated this property when we did the Horseshoe Trail. And so she's also on this committee too, and requested to look at that. So
And just to be clear, you're keeping some property for the city.
yes, the city property, which is comes down, it goes down all the way here. It's about 13 acres. We are going to keep this property because we are talking about potentially bringing a road around and out to 71, possibly this way in the future. And then we're going to probably drill a well over here, possibly for emergency use. And then this possibly would be something the city would do, either a park or something in the future.
Okay. So, council, the mausoleum has been around for a very long time. Maybe, I don't know, I'm sure Jim will touch on that. This has always been a responsibility of the Horseshoe Bay POA. The board that's elected to serve as the Horseshoe Bay POA has always simultaneously served as the board of the mausoleum. And there have been boards who have done a better job than others, but this group of people led by Mayor Jordan and Mrs. Hurd and the team that they put together just really felt like it was time for some citizens to step forward and take over what was already established as a 501c9 organization. I assume that's what it was.
C9.
I think that's what a cemetery corporation is, but I could be wrong. I haven't practiced tax. 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I knew it wasn't one.
Yeah.
And so they have volunteered to take over the responsibility, and the POA board members were very happy to get rid of that responsibility. They didn't want it. And so I'm really grateful to this group of people who have stepped forward to take over this important responsibility for our community. And it is a burden, but it is a responsible, it's an important job. So which one of you wants to speak first? Okay. Mayor Jordan.
Mayor Thurman, council members, and staff. This is a privilege to come back, see all my friends, and have an opportunity to discuss with you what I think we will all agree is a much needed change of the mausoleum. You mentioned and made mention of the Horseshoe Bay POA, the involvement with the mausoleum. Until recently, as Mayor Thurman mentioned, the Horseshoe Bay POA board was responsible for managing the mausoleum and has been since, I think it was 2000. It was right around 1989 is when things took over at the mausoleum. It's been a long while. We found there had been total discard from the Horseshoe Bay POA for the maintenance and repairs. Eileen Hurd, as mentioned, not only gave this property from the very beginning, but she was distraught to see what has happened, the disregard and the neglect for the maintenance and everything that went on out there. She called me almost in tears. We went out there and I could see what the problem was. I called a meeting, invited the mayor, city manager, and the POA president, and he in turn invited the members of their board. I would call this a come to Jesus meeting. and it was. Uh, the They left no funds for the perpetual care. We found that they even had 33 names on a waiting list. That they were taking no plans to deal with those, and it just was, I don't know, not something any of us would be proud of. 3 months ago, the Horseshoe Bay POA relinquished their handling of the mausoleum at our request. We now have 9 new members. Some of them are here. Ron Mitchell, Jim Jordan, your invoker today, is a member of our board. Eileen Hurd, 4 of the recent Citizens of the Year are on our 9-member board. So you'll be proud of the organization that we now have working diligently to put things together. Horseshoe Bay deserves to have a mausoleum serving all property owners, not just the residents of Horseshoe Bay POA as it was. We currently have 252 niches and crypts. Once the word gets out, and it will very soon as we're putting things together, we believe that many of the Horseshoe Bay residents will want to make this their final resting point. We are very appreciative of the interest that you all have, so that we'll have room for expansion, not just one time, but hopefully for many years to come. The interest that we have, I think you'll find that the board that we now have appointed, we've all kind of, I've distributed the workload, and I think you'll find that things are going to start happening real quickly. The first thing is this opportunity to obtain additional property. We're already dealing with the manufacturers of the equipment, the contractor, but we needed to know where the property was, how much we would have, so that we could start the plans. With that, we'll then know what the cost will be, and we'll be on our way. So if you have any questions.
Okay, do you want to let Jim speak?
Yeah,
Why don't we let Jim speak, Frank? He might answer your question, and then,
Yeah.
Were you intending to speak, Jim?
Yeah, Jim's ready to speak.
Okay, and I mean, be as concise as you can. I'll put it that way. Yeah, no.
Thank you. Mayor and council, residents and friends of Horseshoe Bay. I can only add a few specifics, I think, to that very good summary that Steve gave. And specifically, that was not mentioned, we have now control of all the records from the POA. Everything is in our possession, including the bank accounts and the checkbooks. So this is all good. Our plan is in September at our board meeting to receive from the contractors a plan for comprehensive maintenance. And we'll also be talking about a plan to have create a permanent maintenance reserve fund. And since 2019, starting in 2019, the expenses of the Memorial Association have exceeded the revenues. We've been slowly depleting our bank account, and that cannot continue. So we've got to turn that around. And then probably in our November board meeting, we will be receiving and discussing what possible structures can be added on the new property that we're likely to receive, and how to advertise that and make additional crypts and niches available to residents who want to plan for their future. So that's
Okay.
all I've got to say.
Thank you. Councilmember Hosey, your question?
Okay, before I joined city council, I was on the board.
Could you, Frank, could you lean up?
Before I joined city council, I was on the board of the POA. The big issue there is, back then, this is back in 15 and 16, the issue was the expenses exceeded the revenues. We explored, I remember exploring, talking to people about expansion. We couldn't get any financing. We could find no way to get financing for this. Now, unless something drastically has changed, that's the issue you guys are going to run into. Now, there's no doubt that the competency of the board that you put together, I'm totally in favor of. Because I was the first one to say, I do not want to be on the board, because you could look at those financials and say, this is going to go away. So a lot of the neglect was an attempt to string along what poor maintenance was done to try to extend the life. But you could see a clear end date where the money would run out. So the challenge of what I want to understand before we look at the donating the property and stuff like that is, what are your plans and how are you guys going to generate the finances for not only construction? Once you get to construction, I think there'll be definitely people wanting to buy the niches. I don't think that's an issue, but you're going to have to bridge something between getting money to do the construction, because you don't have the funds now to start.
I bet they've thought of that.
Well, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I think the assumption, Frank, is that the current owners of the crypts and niches and the future owners of a new facility are going to want to have that preserved.
So you're going back to those
We are
people.
going back to the owners, and we're going to ask for, fundamentally, 501c13 contributions, tax deductible. Our assumption is that the people will be responsive to that, because I plan to be in there one of these days.
When the expansion happened the last time, Darlene Bowles was president of the POA, and what they did is they pre-sold the crypts that they were or the niches that they were gonna buy. And they were able to generate the upfront money in that way by pre-selling those niches. And I apologize, I know Mr. Gaylord would like to add something, but unfortunately this isn't a public hearing and you didn't sign up to speak on this, but if you have something that's just so important that we need to hear it, I'll let you speak.
The historical record of how it was created in the first place. Actually, they were built by a developer. It was like the Silver Lake development. Developer came in, built it, and then they sold the lots, the niches, and the crypts to people to pay back the developer who made a profit on the development or got his money back. So that's an alternative, is to simply get a development loan and pay back the loan by the 33 people whose names are on the list, plus everybody else who signs up for future.
Councilmember King, you have a question?
I do. I unfortunately have had an awful lot of experience with cemeteries and old cemeteries that have run out of money and that sort of thing. And if you don't build a fund right now that brings in enough money to fund it by interest and investing that money, you're going to be in the same boat again 10 years. And I hate to give money for more if you don't have that part done. And I'm talking about a real plan that actually puts money in the bank where you can start investing it.
We have a letter drafted, 95% complete, that the board will approve next time, to go out to the interested people to create a maintenance reserve. We have always lived off sales proceeds, and that is an impossible business model. We've got to get a maintenance reserve created.
Certainly,
we have a plan to do that.
Certainly building new things, building new ones as you go along will help. But before we give you a bunch of land, I would like to see that plan started. And with the, as far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna be gone, but I think this board would be happy to give the land, but we would like to see that you have a plan actually in action, and the money's being funded and it's been put into an investment account, and it has a chance to take care of things as time goes on.
That is fair, and we will have that plan very soon.
Cool.
And if you want to table this until a couple of months from now, or we can demonstrate to you that we are on the move.
You know, given the group of people that we're talking about, I have no doubt. I have no doubt that these people are going to get this money together. They've got amazing resources within the community, and I feel that I don't want to insult these 9 people by telling you that we don't think you know what you're doing. That's my view. I'm very confident in these people.
First of all, I understand exactly what Dwight is saying there. The issue is until we can actually have the property surveyed and give it to the contractor and to the niche manufacturer here in Marble Falls, we're not going to know where we are. We have to have one step at a time here. I hope you will understand the kind of people we have serving on our board are very responsible people, and we're trying to move as quickly as we can so that we can start the construction, and it takes about a year once we get started to be able to finish the first phase. So I don't know what else we can do, but what we're doing, and I hope you can trust us to keep doing what we're doing so that we'll be ready to go.
And another member of this committee is Mr. Mitchell.
That's good.
I would just like to say that the resort has committed to support this also in the donation form to get this off the ground, especially the repair and construction of the existing and hopefully expansion. We also talked about major fundraising, naming of these facilities for people. We're talking about different products from what they call benches, where you don't have to build these huge structure mausoleums like you have now. Family crypts, where you can buy crypts for 4 or 5 people, and all those would be pre-sold and funded and part of this master plan. And we think others besides the resort will be able to get some donations from some people to help support this. We're also talking about a system for long-term maintenance of what is built in the future, which was not
Certainly you can do
considered in the
things
existing.
like estate planning
Correct.
measures. I mean, if someone's going to be buried there, they probably would not mind naming this entity in their will. One question I want to ask you all that is really not exactly relevant to this, but it is. When we had that initial meeting and I was there, one of my concerns is perpetuity of the organization, because anytime you set up a nonprofit, 501c anything, there's always a successor organization that if this organization fails, where's the money going? Who's gonna pick up the slack? I said at that time that since the Horseshoe Bay POA was the responsible entity, I thought that should be the entity that it fell back on. Do you know if like down the road you can't get board members, you can't get anyone to serve, is there a fallback organization that will take over?
Potentially, yes, but we have not pursued that.
Okay. I think that's something important, because right now 9 people are interested, but we have seen and I'll use the Horseshoe Bay POA as an example. People don't run for that office; they just finally agree to do it, and that's the kind of scenario that I fear will happen. Is that you'll have a hard time getting people to replace the 9 of you who are interested now. So that's something I think you really need to cement with a perpetuity of the organization. So anyway, certainly I'm not suggesting you want to be a perpetual care cemetery. That's a whole nother bag of worms, but yes, Ron. Everybody lives in Horseshoe Bay. Okay. Um, Great, thank you very much. Does any council members have any further questions? Yeah, Elaine?
Short arms, sorry. One of the things that I have that's very near and dear to my heart is when I first moved here, I had the privilege of working to clean the cemetery. I was serving on the POA board, and it touched my heart in a very special way because when we arrived that day to clean, we had beautiful headstones that you could not even read, and we had buckets of water and sponges. And the gals on that POA board at that time cleaned by hand on our hands and knees and cleaned those graves. And then we had the gentlemen that were working with us took the time to mow and to cut and to clean. And to me, this whole issue is one of respect and appreciation for who we are as a community. And I applaud you for working so diligently to keep it alive. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So another issue that I think we have to address, all we're going to approve today is to give Jeff the authorization to move forward to order a survey. And to create the property transfer documents. We're not signing the documents right now, but
No, I will bring that back because I think after your conversation here, that probably be a reverter there. Some things fail, undeveloped property goes back to the city.
okay.
And then also maybe some documents. So I said, where does it go to if it does fail, that this goes back to the Horseshoe Bay? We definitely want to put that into.
Okay,
Say
so
one of the.
sure.
Again, I won't be here, but before I would be in favor of turning the land over, I would like to see you come up with a plan. This is how much money we need to raise in an endowment fund to keep this thing
We
going.
have that.
Well, we'd like to see that. That would be good.
600,000.
And that's not enough. That's a good start. But I'm not here to insult you. Believe me, I'm not. I commend you for doing it. And I don't appreciate that. It implied that I'm insulting you. I'm not insulting you. I've just been there and I'm doing it and I'm seeing what's going on and what it takes in order to have enough money to continue over the years to keep the place clean, to keep it built, and then you can still have a sales product that goes on and on, but you've got to have something to maintain the stuff that's there. Maybe you've already got all that figured out. I hope so.
We're working as hard as we can and as fast as we can. But step one is we need to know what property we have to expand. And then we can turn it over to have the plan phase for the first phase. And then we'll be putting ditches, crypts up for sale. We'll be collecting the money from that to start the generation of the funds that are needed to go forward.
So what the motion here is that we want to initiate a survey and create the property transfer documents to donate the property. It is not an approval to complete that donation at this point. Although I think if we, in all fairness to the committee, I think we all have to, in the back of our minds, be willing to move forward with the donation. If we take this step, it wouldn't be fair to mislead them that if we're going to back out. The other issue that I would like to get your input on is who's going to pay for the survey. What was y'all's thought on the cost? Of course, you probably didn't know it was going to be $16,000.
That the city is giving the property also includes the survey.
So you're asking that the city put the $16,500 bill for the.
I didn't know how much it was.
Yeah, we didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't either until today.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got the numbers today.
Jeff, do you think we need to? I mean, I don't know whether we can approve a survey if we don't know who's going to pay for it. Do you think that the council needs to make the decision that we're going to either pay for the survey or not at this point?
That is the request.
Okay. And I will just remind you guys that we just saved $5,000 by not having an election, so that helps a little.
No charge.
I could probably find 11,000 more if you want me to.
9,000. It's going up when they got me
Oh, it's nine. Oh, she said we saved 9,000. Oh, okay. So now we only have to come up with 7,500.
I have an additional question. Can we not do this in phases? Obviously, they're not going to build out that in total acreage in the first phase. Could we not donate the land
What's the
based
point?
on, well, I still think there's a funding issue.
I could work with a group and we could come up with a phase plan. That it would be a phase 1, phase 2, and look at only doing inside the road part and then not on the other side if that's what you like. You do that. It's up to y'all.
The thing is, I mean, we're gonna, then if we want to go back, we've got to go back and do another survey
Spend more money.
again, and we
Yeah.
have to go
It'll be
through
more
this thing
expensive doing it
again.
that way to get the
So,
survey done.
Yeah,
So.
Dwight?
Would you entertain a motion?
Yes, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the city offer the land and get the survey done. That will be our part as a city to do this, to help them along with their program. But then you guys come back with showing us your financial plan, the land you're going to have. That's the question you asked, the land you'll have. But then you'll come back and show us your long-range fundraising plan and the goal of what you're going to set up. Like the one I just got through with, we put $1 million in. And we raised $1 million to be able to fund it.
This is a motion,
I
so
just motioned.
I'm going to restate
sorry.
your motion. So
She's got it.
what you're saying is you move to authorize the city manager to initiate the survey of the property, create or transfer the documents, initiate and fund a survey of the property, and create the transfer documents subject to final approval of the council of the financial, of the budget to be presented at a later date by the committee.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you again. It was Frank. Oh, no, it was Larry. Larry seconded. Okay, thank you again so much for all that you've done on this. Now, unfortunately, we still have a lot of business to take care of here, so let's move through this. We're ready for request for building permit extension on property located at 3004 Driftwood. And there we have Christina. Hi,
Hi,
Christina.
Mayor, Council, back again. Only two this time. We actually did have one. Let us just start with this one, 3004 Driftwood. I think the representative is here. He is asking for a 180-day extension, which would put him through, well, if I had got my readers, I could have probably told you, March 5th, 2025.
Which one are we doing?
Sorry?
It's on page 98, Driftwood. Okay. Is the representative is here?
Yes, I believe.
Who is that? Okay.
Would you like to stand up?
Why? And you started building your dock. Explain to us what happened with this dock.
We started building the dock. So the property's tight. It's a narrow lot on a cove. And we had to dig in to build our lot or dock and not build out. So we built it on site, before we could start the house. And all of the stuff to do in order to build the dock, it took up all the space to be able to build the house simultaneously with the dock. So whenever I went to get the initial permit, I knew that was going to be the case, but I didn't realize I had this 12-month, timeline that was not going to be possible, without some extensions. And I built in the past in Horseshoe Bay, and there's never been problems with, as long as you're making progress and doing a good job and keeping things tidy, that extensions were expected if you needed them. And
is the dock in the house one permit?
Yes.
Yes. And I think originally I tried to get a separate permit for the dock because I wanted to start that first. And I knew that was the first step of the project. And I think I was required to put them all on one permit. I didn't realize the implications of where this would end up at the time.
Okay, so you're going to need another 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, we're 4 or 5 months out on the house, and we'll be done.
How many?
We're probably 4 to 5 months out to finish the house, and we're working very hard and doing a great job. I built several homes in Horseshoe Bay over the years. It's been a while, because just different things. Haven't built one in Horseshoe Bay since like 2014 or something like that.
Okay, well, unfortunately, council has been pretty consistent about honoring this schedule because it's not like we didn't make this up after the fact. It's known ahead of time, and it's just something that builders have to anticipate going into a project, and we're pretty reluctant to. I don't mean to speak for you all, to pick and choose. We did give an extension for COVID because we felt we understood about availability of materials and products, but we're balancing this with the neighbors.
Sure.
The people don't like construction around their homes, and so this isn't meant as a punishment. We're trying to get these homes finished, and that's just unfortunately sort of been the way we've done it. Do you all have any comments?
I mean, this one's not just a standalone house on an easy lot. I mean, that's.
This was an 18-month permit to begin with. The house is a little over 3,000 square feet. We do not allow the docks to start first because we can't do them standalone because we don't allow accessory structures on a lot without a primary structure. So that did limit that, but it was an 18-month permit to start with. They've had 2 extensions, obviously. 2 6-month extensions, the first and the second. So
we've had 18 months,
No,
and now we're
it's only
asking for
been-
6 more.
The extensions were only 30 days
no, they were 60 days.
or 60. What are they?
First and second are 60 days each. Yeah. So there's been 120-day extensions until before we got here.
So 120 days plus 100 plus 600 plus 18 months.
Correct.
So, yeah. Okay. Council members, do you have any questions?
I do one. Did we change something recently that if it was over so many square foot, they had longer term? How much was that?
That was 8,000 square feet.
10,000 actually.
10,000.
Yes, 9,999.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
We
it's
did.
over that.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Move to approve Stature Contracting requested third re-permit for 3004 Driftwood for 180 days for $20,000.
It's a motion from Councilmember Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Morgan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck. Hope you can get it done.
All right, appreciate it.
Then the next one is the 4th building permit extension on the property at 172 Westgate Loop, W Trading LLC.
That one actually they were issued their CO last week. So we do not
take
have
that
to
one
open
off.
that one up.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
All right.
They got it on the day it expired.
Okay.
So
great.
that one worked out.
So now we'll move to 805 Broken Arrow, Turrentine Properties.
Yes.
I know that house.
Yes.
It's huge.
It's nice. It is pretty. They're all pretty.
Okay.
Here in
Do
Horseshoe
you have
Bay.
anything you want to?
Brian?
Okay, Mr. Turrentine.
We're really just nearing the completion of the project. I expect to be done in 30 days. I believe we're asking for
You asked for 90, Brian.
90, but I think we'll probably be asking for the CO in 30, maybe a little bit more. We just have some interior finish out, hanging some big lights and stuff like that. So and then we're wrapping up the landscape with the rain that we had. It delayed us a little bit on finishing up the pool and some of the walls, but we will be finishing it up here pretty shortly. So I think the 90 days is probably more than we need, but I just wanted to get as much as we could. But I think probably 30, maybe a little bit over that, will be finished. So.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I say this to everybody: if we grant you a 90-day permit and you need 60, we'll refund the difference to you.
Oh, that's fine.
We're not trying to make money here. We just want this.
I understand. I just, but no, we're substantially complete. I mean, we're just wrapping up some of the mechanicals and everything.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Is there? Would someone like to make a motion? There's a suggested motion on page 102.
I move to approve the Turrentine Properties requested third re-permit for 805 Broken Arrow for 90 days for $7,500.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Second from Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next one is 1902 Bay West Boulevard. Do you want to present this?
If we're able to, I'd like to after executive session, unless you'd like to do it now.
Okay, with this project has some special considerations, and so we are going to table this item until executive session. We can, after executive session, we can come out of executive session and vote on it, but I don't see any reason to discuss it at this point. There's really nothing. I mean, we're going to discuss it in executive session, so we'll take it over then. Is that okay? Okay, so we'll table it until after executive session. Now we're going to move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone would like to have removed? You got all your questions answered? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so with that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as written.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Jones and a second by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now monthly reports.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to ask Tim Ferran, our Public Works Director, to come up and give an update on the streets program and where he is.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. The seal coating has all been completed finally with a little bit of a rain delay. Aaron Concrete is back working on the change order phase of the road reconstruction. Working on the parking lot. The building got delayed because of a forklift breakdown, so they're actively seeking another 36-ton forklift to set the new restrooms. And we're ready to move on. We have plans for the new pavilion. We have somebody scheduled to tear down the old one, so we are making good progress. Hope to have that up September.
So you finished the seal coating, Tim?
Seal coating is completed.
So what's going to happen at Bay West Boulevard where you're digging up over there?
Postponing doing the seal coat. It's
No,
really
seal
actually
coating
next
the
year.
seal coating that we just did for this year.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
an
not for
addition
that.
So
to.
that's next year.
We're going to try to do it this year, like I promised you that I
Okay.
would. That's just Bay West Boulevard and the bike lane. So
Okay.
that has nothing to do with the seal coat project that we just completed all around the hotel area, all in that area.
Right. Looks nice. Okay. Any questions for Tim?
Just to give you an update on the Rio is working their way down. I think they're past up there now. They're expecting another week on the one side of the road that they're working on. And then Tim and I are going to meet with them next week on where they're going to cut across Bay West Boulevard. That's going to be their priority, directed by me, to get that road done so we can finish the seal coat and then follow up with the both sides of the road with the bike lanes.
Okay. And you're going to put an extra pipe in there when you cut across.
Absolutely.
Mayor, I'd
Where we can.
thank Tim for not crushing my car up this morning when I illegally parked at a place when you were trying to build extra parking spaces. Thank you for that.
All good.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tim. Thanks for all your
Yes.
hard work. You and Cody do a great job on those roads.
Yes.
Um,
And if you'd like, we could give a report on the status of the water system. We
Yeah, I'd
had
like to
issues
hear
with the
about
pumps. I
that.
think Ray
Yes,
was going to do
Ray.
that, and then maybe talk about the issue with the IT test that we did not pass.
Okay.
While everybody got a notice.
Got it.
Hey, Mayor, Council, give you an update on the two pumps. They're high service pumps at the West Water Plant that we had malfunction on August the 16th. They failed within 1 week of each other. The cause of the malfunction from the vendor that we sent the pumps to said that there was some wear on some inner rings for pump number one. We had failure due to seals on both ends of the pump. And then on pump number two, we had bearing failure. The cause most likely was from the age of the pump. Both pumps were in excess of 25 years old. Speaking with Jeff, since Jeff has been here the longest and has worked with this system, we both spoke on the fact with the evaluation from the vendor and from Jeff's experience, these pumps did have some unknown history for rebuilt. And again, with that constant wear and tear on these pumps, the vendor concluded that that was most likely what happened. The valves in line with the high service pumps were all operating correctly. We checked the check valve, inline check valves, and they were fine. They were operating. It was just it was an anomaly that these pumps failed the way they did. We immediately, upon notification of the pump failure, we had a good rapport with the vendor, and that night we had a diesel pump brought in to take over the distribution of the water. We lost no water pressure, and we lost no services to West. We continue to provide that service. Again, we have gone through 2 diesel pumps that they have given us to pump water. Both of those diesel pumps had mechanical failures in them, and then we ended up with an electric pump that we currently have in place right now, pumping water for distribution at the West Water plant. Tomorrow, or this evening, 2 of our staff will go and pick up the pumps because it's going to be the quickest for us to get them back instead of waiting to have them shipped. The lead time for the pumps was 7 to 8 weeks, but because of the vendor relationship that we have with our maintenance foreman, we got those pumps moved up to within 2 weeks. So they are ready to go. We're going to go pick them up. We have one motor that failed. The pump that failed that had water come out of it actually shorted out the motor. So we do have an extra motor on hand and one being ordered. So that will keep our redundancy in place. We'll have all that together. Hopefully by Thursday, we'll have the pumps back in and the motors working.
Well, the blessing is that we didn't lose water pressure. We didn't lose. The community cooperated when we put out the plea, and it was just one of those perfect storm events that everything that could go wrong went wrong at the same time. So we dodged a bullet on that one.
Yeah, I just want to recognize Jared Cranfield. He's our maintenance foreman, and when council and Jeff and Rick brought this maintenance foreman position on board, that's when the maintenance and the pumps, all of our pumps in the system, started receiving maintenance scheduled. So those pumps that we currently have are now being put into our asset management program, and our maintenance technician, our maintenance foreman, Jared, has did one heck of a job keeping up with all these now. So going forward, all these pumps and all of our equipment, for that matter, will be on our asset management program, which is called Cartograph. Yes, sir.
Was there anything we could have done proactively to prevent this, or was just one of those fluke things?
Yeah, I looking back at it, and when we did our internal investigation to make sure that we uncovered anything that could have been prevented. No, and I'll answer it this way, Councilman Jose, that we now currently, because of our asset management program, our maintenance program, and with the addition of Jared Cranfield, our maintenance foreman, that's what we're doing now. So I think we're doing, and we continue to do preventive maintenance on all of our equipment.
So these this that you just passed us out, it's that these pumps are about $27,000 a piece.
That's the because we had to do emergency purchase that night to move forward. So we're getting new pumps. We kind of bypassed, and that's an affidavit basically saying what had happened and why we had to do the purchase instead of come through the regular purchasing process. I will just add too that what Ray's saying, those pumps are original pumps. Most pumps are around 700 revolutions per minute because of the high pressure of those. Those are 1,400 revolutions per minute. And for them to service 25 years is pretty good life on them. We have had them reworked a couple of times. But I think what happened is I think when the bearings failed on one of them, it split the case and it spread water on the other one. And that's probably what caused both of them to go out the second time. So as far as what we're doing for the future, we're going to have some backups of both of the pump and of the motor sitting on the shelf. So if we have this, now we'll have 3. Generally, you have 2. That's what TCQ requires to have a backup. This is a pretty rare occasion to have 2 of them fail within 2 days. But we are going to step forwards and make sure that we have that capacity. Even though they did jump on it and we didn't lose any service pressure or anything like that, which is really commendable. It still begs that we need to be looking at some of our older assets to make sure we have that on our shelves.
Dwight?
Commend you guys for getting it and keeping the water up, but 25 years, both pumps been 25 years old. To me, that's unacceptable. Anything I would be working with to be, you need to have some kind of replacement on calendar where you don't have 2 25-year-olds at one time.
Yeah, yes, sir. So part of that came into also after action for preventative maintenance is actually now that they're going to be part of our asset management program, we'll have real-time data on the age of the pumps and then also when the pumps are taken out for service. So I was asked earlier by the mayor if we were going to be rotating these pumps, which we are, and which they were being rotated. However, now with this asset management program that we have, we can have the hours recorded, we can have maintenance recorded, and then through OEM, through the original equipment manufacturer, we can have a better understanding of the life of our equipment.
Retirement time.
Yes, sir. Retirement time.
Right.
Did someone else did you have a
Yes, sir,
question?
Frank.
Right.
Sorry.
I would suggest that you said we're going to have three pumps. I would suggest we put one of the new pumps in with one of the refurbished pumps.
Yeah. That we have a brand new one because the one that failed totally failed. It's not repairable. And we have repaired them over the years, replaced the shaft and the impellers several times over the years. But you're right. When we sit 25 years, the whole body is really pretty much at its age. So we will set that. And that's what the good thing about the asset management is you put that in there, it hits these parameters by either by hours or by age. And then it comes up as a replacement item. And then we can do that in advance.
How old are the pumps at Central Water Plant?
Say that again.
How old are the pumps in Central?
19.
19 years. So this pump, number 3 pump that you're buying, if we have a problem, is it interchangeable with the pumps at Central?
No.
So how many pumps do you have at Central?
We have 3. Is that right? I think there's 3 pumps.
How many are in use? Are there 3 in use or are there 2 in use?
Well, all 3 are in use, ma'am, but they rotate out depending on the time of the year. Some of them move more water than others. So it just depends on how much demand that we require, but they are in rotation. So never more than 1 at a time.
Yes. We have that third backup.
Okay, at the Central Plant. Good. Okay.
But as far as age goes, what are the ages of those 3?
19 years.
All of them
19
are
years.
19.
I think we have replaced 1. So 1 is newer, but it needs to go. And that's why we started the asset management system, and the plant was the last one to kind of go in there. But it is in there now, and they are managing it for that purpose. Okay. So,
all right. Well, thank you, Ray. Do y'all have any further questions for Ray? What else was there anything else that you have in staff report? Oh, yes. That letter we all got.
Yes. The next thing just wanted to update you on was recently there was a letter sent out for a violation on our water system. First, I need to make things clear here and make sure everybody understands. This was a self-report, meaning in full transparency, this is our department policing ourselves. So this was not a violation that any outside agency found. This was us policing ourselves. This particular violation was a technique violation. It was not a treatment violation. The violation, if in fact, if it would have been a treatment violation to the water, to water quality, there would have been an immediate notification, boil water notice, and also immediate notification to the public as to the one that was just sent out. So there's a totally two different parameters. The fact that the technique violation happened in June gives you, let me back up. The verbiage on that, the notification is really ambiguous, but it's verbiage that TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, for water quality in this instance, they specifically, with the information that they were requesting for us when we reported ourselves of that violation, of the technique violation, TCEQ asks for certain information. And then this is where Mr. Joel Green, our water plant supervisor, this is all the information that we would get and provide TCEQ. Now, because this is not a water quality violation, that gave TCEQ telling us, you got 30 days to report this. So when the reports came out in June, when we found the violation there, the violation was caused by a malfunction in a pressure reducing valve. You'll hear people say at PRVs, it's a valve that holds back pressure. Now, with that said, there's integrity test. On the notice, it said DIT. Well, I'm going to leave the D to Joel to explain that part. I don't even know what that D is for, but I know what the IT stands for. So the law requires us within 7 days, at least one time within 7 days, to perform an IT and integrity test. The plant operators were in the process of doing that. While they were doing that, the unknown malfunction of this pressure reducer valve, they didn't know it at the time that was what was causing the IT, so they kept trying to get the IT to pass. The IT would not pass. They ended up going home for the night. The plant was still producing water. The violation that happened is that when that happens, that rack or that part of the system needs to be taken out of service. It wasn't, it stayed in service. The next morning they came back in, they found out that it was a pressure reducing valve that mechanically did not let the integrity test be performed. They found out that, they adjusted the pressure reducing valve, and the test immediately passed, still within the 7 days. So again, in full transparency, this was us telling on ourselves basically for the health and safety of the public.
So this is a lot of technical information, but my understanding basically is we self-reported a problem. The TCEQ came back and said, this is not an acute problem, but you have to follow the law and send out a letter to the public, which we did. We have corrected the problem. We've corrected the technique. This won't happen again.
Not happening.
And so, I personally haven't gotten any calls from the community. Have you, asking about it? But so this was something that we self-reported. It was just us being above board. It did not create any danger to the community or any problem. And we're moving forward, and we're not going to let that happen again.
Yes, ma'am. I'll supplement a little bit with your permission with what Ray said too. So very technical explanation, which is why the notice is so ambiguous from the state. So that state, like you said, that state mandated language. We can't change it. We have to send it out.
It was terrible.
The bottom line is they test the water as it leaves the plant. They test the water in the system. The water is safe. They were not at risk. It's safe to drink. But because they could not produce this IT, we had to self-report. So for anybody that calls in, it was safe. That's why there's no boil water notice.
Okay.
That's the problem, though, is that instead of I know you had to send that letter out, like you said, at the state required, but at the same time, you could have sent something out to our people saying this was just a technical problem. You were not affected in any way whatsoever. And
Yes, sir. I'm going to I'm sorry.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
I got calls
explain that.
Yeah.
Because the calls I got was, is the water safe? And I said, yes, the water's safe. If we should have just put that at the bottom of that thing, add verbiage, or does.
We can't add verbiage, but we could send a second. That is something we've talked about and we'll do in the future. No, you have to, we were able to add a little bit of verbiage that explained what a PRB was, but not really anything else.
That just made it more confusing.
So I think the request from our side is that it would have been, going forward, when something like that happens, be sure that we do whatever we need to provide clarity to the community and what the real situation is. And I've also discussed this with the guys, and they know that I've also requested that we find out what's going on before we receive a letter in our mail, because that way, when you get that call, and when you get that call, we know the answer rather than just go, I don't know, I got a letter too. So they know that, and I think in the future they will notify council of any of these situations that come up in advance. And I think that's really important because we do get the calls, and I didn't, but these guys did. And, you just want to know what the answer is on our water.
Well, there was one real quick thing to answer your question, Mr. Hosea. I'm going to let Joel speak real quick because I was questioning TCQ on that because I wanted to put the verbiage in there. And I got a number of years dealing with TCQ. And that was exactly what I was trying to do because I wanted to get our side out on what exactly happened because it was ambiguous. It was confusing. That whole thing was really hard to understand. And I understand the public's concern with that when you see that on there. But I was running Joel through the ringer on this with TCQ back and forth, and I'll let him explain the verbiage part.
Well, you know what? We're beating this to death. Let me just say this. I've got a letter going out to the community, a mayor's letter that I'll be sending out for September. I was already going to touch on this. I'll just include an explanation of this so that they know that this was a technique self-reported. I'll give them a little bit of background and that there's no issues with the water, never have been, and that we did an after-action report. So I think that's good.
And I appreciate, I don't remember who I talked to up there, but I appreciate you taking the time to visit with me about it.
Right. Yep. Okay. Are there any other staff reports that we have?
Unless I think you just came back from the TML summit.
Very, very brief. We had August 12th and 13th, as I went as social-based delegate to the TML Municipal Summit, which is where they start the preparations for the next legislative session. We spent 2 days covering about almost 200 pages of the topics of legislation for the next session. I would like to say that our legislative platform resolution that y'all adopted is being sent out by TML as a template for other cities, encouraging them to do the same thing.
Wow. Congratulations, Carrie.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's also a lot of support for the bill that we're trying to get authored to allow us to charge in our roads for internet services. So.
Great. Yes. That's very good. Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you, Frank, for bringing that forward. Okay. So if there's no further business, we're going to adjourn the meeting at 4:53 and go into executive session. We will be coming out of executive session at some time late into the night. You're welcome to stay and hear what happens or join us at the Y Bar when that's over.